Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It's time to get the man on Discord so we can talk about Monday's news. Hello, good morning.
Hey, it is morning. Correct. 6:02. All right, man. Let's see if I got good Wi-Fi here.
For the viewers up there, Roger's going on a luxurious road trip through the U.S.
Luxurious? I don't think so. I'm in some place called Clearfield, Pennsylvania.
There he is. He's there.
How's it sound? Does it sound good?
It sounds fine.
Yeah, all right. So all I gotta do is find anything useful to talk about. All right, nature's light. Okay, here we go.
All right, here we go. Day on Before Coffee. Kakhovka collapse. Image emerges of apparently explosive-laden car at dam.
Housing prices have crashed in New Zealand and billions of wealth have vanished.
European truck makers trail in global race to net zero.
And we have Heatwave, U.S. Heatwave news.
American man charged with murder after attack on U.S. women in Germany.
And Russia sought to assassinate Florida man. Today, on the Juneteenth version of June 19th, 2023 version of Before Coffee, which I have coffee right here. Is lobby coffee
not terrible average coffee here. And we're going into our news about the Kakhovka collapse. A photograph of a car apparently laden with explosives parked at the top of Ukraine's Kakhovka Dam shortly before it gave way is said to offer further evidence Russia was behind the incident. The image, taken by the Ukrainian drone and given to the Associated Press, was taken on the 28th of May. It appears to show a white car with its roofs cut open, revealing large barrels inside, one of which appears to have a landmine attached to its lid. The cable runs from the barrel towards the side of the river held by the Russian forces. A Ukrainian Special Forces communications official told the Associated Press he believed the car was there to stop Ukrainian advances on the dam and to amplify a planned explosion originating in the machine room. More than 11,000 people have been evacuated since the dam collapsed on the 6th of June, flooding land downstream. On Monday, the death totals raised to 52. Russian officials said 35 people had died in the area of Kherson and that they were under its control, while Ukraine's interior minister said they were aware of 17 deaths and 31 people had gone missing. The warring countries have traded accusations as to who was responsible for the environmental and human disaster. Ukrainian officials claimed to the Associated Press that Russian troops had set up a firing position in the dam shortly before the blast. Vladimir Zelensky has long claimed that the dam was mined by Russia. Vladimir Putin told military bloggers in a recent meeting he had no interest in damaging the dam, which flooded territory controlled by Russia. He did concede that Ukraine's offensive plans may have been impacted by the flooding of the Dnipro River, which Ukraine forces need to cross to access the parts of Kherson controlled by Moscow. The image of the white car parked on the top of the dam is just the latest piece in the puzzle, with experts counseling that an authoritative assessment cannot be made until independent engineers are given access. Last week, the International Human Rights Law from Global Rights Compliance, acting in support of Ukraine's general prosecutor, said it believed it was highly likely Russian forces deliberately destroyed the dam, and that a recently passed Russian law that prohibits investigations into incidents on hydroelectric structures in Russia-occupied Ukraine offered compelling, albeit circumstantial, evidence for the case. Yeah, that's really suspicious there. Let's pass a law that nobody can investigate our explosions. We're not going to set off any explosions or anything, but there might be explosions. We never know, and we should protect investigators. Yeah.
What was that noise? None of your business.
Did you hear that?
That's it.
Seismic signals from an explosion at the dam were picked up on sensors at 2:35 a.m. and 2:54 a.m. on June 6th. The size of the explosion is said to discount an external attack as being the cause. The Institute for the Study of War, a U.S. think tank, has monitored Russian actions in Ukraine since the beginning of the war and has claimed that balance of evidence, reasoning, and rhetoric suggests that the Russians deliberately damaged the dam. Ukraine's intelligence service released an intercepted conversation it claimed was between a Russian soldier and someone else, in which a soldier said, "Our sabotage groups were there. They wanted to create a scare with the dam. It didn't quite go according to plan." Okay, so there's a lot of fingers pointing, and I have to agree. How could a Ukrainian regiment get onto the dam just to blow it up when Russia had it in their hands the whole time? It seems way more likely that the people holding the deck, burned the deck, so to say. This was an article from Daniel Boffrey at The Guardian.
Also could be third-party saboteurs.
Right. It was terrorists. That's what...
I'm just saying, there are Russians that are attacking in Russia that are not Ukrainian, right? They're basically want to get rid of Putin, right?
Your story.
In New Zealand, high interest rates have sent property prices sliding nearly 18% since November in 2021. Michael Wilson, this is from Natasha Frost of the New York Times, New York, Melbourne, Australia-based writer. Michael Wilson was hopeful when he put his 3-bedroom house up for sale. Over a dozen would-be buyers came to initial showing, but about a year later, the property is still for sale. Offer after offer fell through because the prospective buyers are unable to sell their homes. Welcome to New Zealand, one of the world's most troubled housing markets. Over the last 18 months, homeowners and investors have lost billions of dollars in wealth after prices that spiked during the COVID pandemic started plunging, as mortgage rates also soared. If we listed it, say 2 months before we originally did, it would have literally sold the next day, Mr. Wilson said. He and his wife, Jade, might finally have found a buyer for their 3-bedroom house in Te Awamutu, a pretty North Island town of 13,000 people, but they are lucky they will be paid about 15% less than they originally sought. The pandemic's disruption of jobs, wages, living conditions caused a yo-yo effect in the housing markets in many countries, including Sweden, Britain, Canada, Australia. Few places have experienced as wild a swing as New Zealand, which has slipped into recession. A bunch of pictures of a family playing on their trampoline. Well, they can afford a trampoline, by golly. Property in New Zealand has traditionally been expensive and in short supply. Now a combination of even higher prices, poorly constructed housing, here's a selling point, and the biting effects of it in interest rate increases has pushed the housing crisis to the top of the agenda ahead of national elections this year. During the pandemic, as people took advantage of low mortgage rates and relaxed lending rules, housing prices soared almost 50%. There you go. Easy come, easy go. Since November 2021, New England's hawkish central bank embarked on one of the world's most aggressive rate tightening cycles in the world as bankers sought to make a big money grab in the backs of poor people. Oh, that's me. That's not the rating. Prices have plummeted 17%, eradicating more than $6 billion in household wealth, according to Statistics New Zealand estimates. Home sales fell to a record low in 3 months through December, and houses now sit in the market for an average of 47 days, with some languishing for many months. Calls for government to address the housing shortage grew more urgent in February, when once-in-a-generation storms and flooding damaged thousands of homes in North Island, some irreparably. Then 5 people died in May in a devastating fire at a hostel in Wellington, their capital, that was inhabited mostly by men without stable housing. Despite relatively low wages and ample land, New Zealand has a population of 5 million spread over the areas Colorado, A dearth of building coupled with low borrowing costs meant that buyers had long been willing to pay for older homes that were poorly built and uninsulated. You're just lucky to have shelter rather than worry about the quality of the shelter, said Shamubeel Club, an independent economist in Auckland. Since 1980s, building in New Zealand has not kept pace with population growth after new restrictive zoning laws and high construction prices limited development. Plus, how much building materials do you have in New Zealand? Property values in New Zealand are also highly susceptible to the rise and fall of interest rates. Unlike U.S. mortgages, which are collectively backed by the government and often set for as long as 30 years, home buyers rarely have fixed rates more than a couple of years. Buyers and homeowners with mortgages now face interest rates of at least 6.5% on new loans, up from about 2% in 2020. Housing problems touch virtually every corner of the population, include those on painfully long waiting lists for public housing, unserved renters for whom property ownership seems out of reach, and more affluent people who bet big on property are now seeing their investments fall in value. Homes are among the least affordable in the world, with a median price of $780,000 in New Zealand dollars, which is about $480,000 in the United States. And the median home price is $407,000 in the United States, so it's nearly double.
Okay.
We've got an enormous number of people who well, it's not really double. It's really just slightly above it, 480 to 407. So little math problem there. You've got an enormous number of people who live and work week to week, paycheck to paycheck. The amount of the take-home pay is a driver of inequality and poverty generally. The problem has defied policy fixes by successive governments, and politicians know that New Zealanders have a lot at stake in the issue. Most of the New Zealanders own a home, and 50% household wealth consists of land, houses, according to the Reserve Bank of New England. That's partly because there is no capital gains tax, meaning money made on sales is typically not taxed. There you go, man. Home ownership can be a secret to wealth, but again, if your economy is being driven by home ownership getting out of hand, then it's going to crash at some point.
You better watch on these homeowners, man. Everyone wants to create generational wealth, but not everyone can. Okay, into our next story, we're going to talk about European truck makers. In the UK and the European lorry makers, as they say in the UK, lorries instead of trucks, are at risk of losing out to US and Chinese competitors in the race to produce net zero emissions, an environmental group has warned. DAF, which owns UK manufacturer Leyland and Iveco, are among the companies lagging behind in the race away from polluting diesel and towards zero carbon technology, such as batteries and hydrogen fuel cells, said Transport and Environment T&E, a Brussels-based campaign group. It is still free to read. Wait, what? Oh, sorry. That was the wrong thing. I read the wrong thing.
You do what I do.
The truck industry is far behind the car industry in the shift away from the fossil fuels, in part because of the higher cost of installing enough electric batteries to carry tons of cargo over longer distances. However, manufacturers are gradually developing zero-emission lorries, starting with smaller vehicles for urban deliverers. Volkswagen and Scania and MAN and Mercedes-Benz trucks make the diesel lorries best placed to shift to electric versions, TNE said. The group ranked the manufacturers on a 100-point scale, with points awarded for aspects such as Mercedes-Benz's plan to only sell zero-emission trucks by 2040, or Scania's solid industrial strategies to achieve the goals. However, other existing truck makers risk losing out to the newer entrants, such as the U.S. electric vehicle pioneer Tesla and its Chinese rival BYD, TNE said. That could represent a potential repeat of the new manufacturer's rapid ascent in car making, which left legacy car makers scrambling to catch up. The European Commission has proposed rules for manufacturers to cut average carbon emissions of new lorries by 45% compared with 2019-2020, but TNE said it wants this target toughened to 65%, spur investment in clean technology. Sophie Dufour, TNE's freight director, said there's a huge gap in the truck industry between manufacturers with a plan to fully decarbonize and those without. The EU needs strong truck CO2 standards to bring the whole European industry up to speed. The least prepared among the European lorry makers was DAF Trucks, which is owned by the US's PACCAR. DAF builds its 19-ton LF Electric at its Leyland subsidiary in Lancashire, but unlike its rivals, it has no public target for zero-emissions truck sales by 2030. A DAF spokesperson said the company does not recognize the picture offered by TNE, citing its sale of electric trucks since 2018 and a completely new generation of electric trucks with zero emission ranges up to 500 kilometers or 310 miles. The spokesperson said, DAF is embracing these impressive targets and is therefore fully committed to deliver our customers the right zero emissions vehicles for the job. That means that on the way to sustainable road transport, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. We will need a variety of technologies, of which some are already offered today, of which some are under development. Italian-listed Iveco was marked down for pushing for renewable and low-carbon diesels, which still produce carbon dioxide, to be allowed in the future.
COVID-19
BYD is already selling electric trucks in the US, Europe, and China, and has a significant advantage of also being one of the world's dominant battery makers. Tesla boss Elon Musk has long been promising to revolutionize the trucking industry, although his company's semi-lorry is still at the pilot stage after being unveiled in 2017, with production promised in 2019. Musk last week said Tesla would not be able to start large-scale production until late 2024 because of battery supply constraints. However, TNE said the company had valuable experience in scaling up EV production, as well as strong supply chains and raw material supply. US and Chinese companies are also among the worst performers on TNE's scales. The lowest scores were China's Sinotruk and FAW, just beat by PACCAR's Kenworth and Peterbilt brands. The companies were approached for comment, but did not give any. This was an article by Jasper Jolly on The Guardian.
All right. And more news about trying to save our hot planet. Heatwave triggers big storms, power outages in U.S. Southwest. Raises wildfire concerns in Southwest. This is AP story by Scott Skenner. Forecasters warn people celebrating Father's Day outdoors to take precautions as triple-digit temperatures prompted heat advisories across much of southern U.S., triggering thunderstorms that knocked out power from Oklahoma to Mississippi and whipped up winds that raised wildfire threats across Arizona and New Mexico. A suspected tornado struck near Scranton, Arkansas on Sunday, destroying chicken houses and toppling trees into homes, National Weather Service said. Poor chickens. There were no immediate reports of serious injuries unless you're a chicken. Meteorologists said a dangerous, potentially record-breaking temperatures continue midweek over southern Texas and much of the Gulf Coast. Storms producing damaging winds, hail, and possibly tornadoes could strike the lower Mississippi Valley. If you have outdoor plans this Father's Day, don't forget to practice heat safety, take frequent breaks, stay hydrated, never leave pets alone in a car, the Weather Service and office in Houston said on Twitter. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards declared a state of emergency for north and central parts of the states after strong winds and severe weather caused widespread power outages on Saturday. On Saturday evening, more than 515,000 people were without electricity in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi, according to poweroutages.us. Catherine Haley was hosting her 6 grandchildren, ages 7 to 13, in Shreveport, Louisiana, when the storm knocked out the electricity to her block and many surrounding neighborhoods. Haley, who is trouble breathing, said they draped damp towels around their necks to stay dry, stay cool, but when the heat became unbearable, the family took refuge at a cooling center set up by the city. I'm so grateful. We tried the first day to stay at home. They were just so uncomfortable. Then I have COPD, and the heat really took effect on me as well, Haley, 64, said. And a pop-up ad with a husky puppy just popped up. All right? It's nice to know.
Yeah.
She said 5 of the grandchildren had just arrived for Houston for the summer when the storm hit, causing a widespread damage. Nice little welcome for them, she joked. In Florida, the Weather Service issued another heat advisory on Sunday. This time for Florida Keys forecasters said the heat index readings, the combination of temperatures and oppressive humidity, could reach between 108 degrees and 112 degrees Fahrenheit, which in Europe is between 42 and 45, which doesn't sound so scary. Between 42 and 45, that doesn't scare me. Between 108 and 112, yeah. That scares me. Sorry, the numbers just sound scarier. That's me editorializing. The conditions will cause increased risk of heat illness for people outdoors or in non-air conditioned spaces, the Weather Service said in the bulletin. In the Southwest, where fire crews are battling multiple wildfires in Arizona and New Mexico, forecasters said triple-digit temperatures and gusty winds would lead to critical fire weather over the next couple of days. Sunday promised to be the hottest day of the year in Arizona, with temperatures of 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds and forecasts up to 30 to 40 miles per hour on Sunday east of Flagstaff, Arizona, along with the Interstate 40 corridor, and up to 50 miles per hour on Monday, creating potentially critical fire weather across much of New Mexico. A large brush fire that broke out Friday afternoon south of Tucson shut down the state highway on Arizona 83 reopened on Sunday with no homes were in immediate danger, authorities said. The prolonged closure took a toll on local businesses during what's usually a busy Father's Day weekend in an area with recreational lakes and reservoirs. Dina Prose said the only business in her corner scoop ice cream shop along the highway in Sonoita was serving few travelers who stopped to get updates on the fire and feeding all the firefighters. Much of Nevada was under a high wind advisory and gusts up to 55 miles per hour with wind blowing dust and could hamper visibility on the highways, the Weather Service said. There you go, man. Hot. It's
gonna be hot.
Hot little summer.
Everywhere, it's gonna be hot. I won't even need a jacket. It's a meme. Don't worry about it. The people who know the meme will get it. Okay, into my news here. American man charged with murder after attack on U.S. women in Germany. So he went to a different country to attack people. Great job, guy. 2 U.S. women had just earned computer-related college degrees and had gone to southern Germany to celebrate when a fellow American, whom they met while hiking, shoved them both down a steep slope, killing one and seriously wounding the other, according to officials. So dude was just completely rude. This is an article from Raymond Antonio Vargas on The Guardian. Eva Lou, 21. Eva Lou, 21, had received her bachelor's degree in computer science from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign in May. Authorities say she was sexually assaulted and pushed to her death near Neuschwanstein Castle, a famous tourist destination in Bavaria. Her 22-year-old friend, Kelsey Chang, had also just graduated from the same school with a bachelor's in computer engineering. Reports say she was attacked too, but survived. Liu and Chang alma maters issued a statement to news media outlets which lamented that the pair of friends were not able to celebrate such an important accomplishment without such a tragic outcome. Our University of Illinois family is mourning the senseless death of Miss Liu and the attack on Miss Chang, the school's statement read. Our thoughts are with Miss Chang as she recovers and with both of their families as they grieve. Before they became ensnared in the latest travel abroad horror story to grip the U.S., Liu and Chang attended the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy in the Chicago suburb of Aurora and befriended each other. They had decided to vacation together in Germany as a reward for completing their undergraduate college work. They were hiking on their trip when their paths crossed that of a 30-year-old American man. The man, who has not been publicly identified, lured the friends to a trail that leads to the Marine Brook or Mary's Bridge. The Marine Brook is a popular vantage point for pictures of the Neuschwanstein, the most famous of the castles in which King Ludwig II of Bavaria built in the 19th century. On the trail leading there, the man assailed Lou, and Chang tried to help her friend stave the attack off, authorities said. The man then pushed Chang down a slope, tried to sexually assault Lou, and then shoved her down the slope as well, according to officials. Lou fell about 165 feet, or 50 meters, and died after rescuers flew her to the hospital. A tree reportedly broke Chang's fall, and she was later reported to be responsive and recovering at the hospital while rescue crews took her. Police jailed the alleged attacker on charges of murder and attempted murder. They later asked castle visitors to send us photos and videos they may have taken at the time of Lou and Chang's attack. As of last week, the appeal has generated about a dozen submissions on a website specifically designed for that purpose. In an interview with the Illinois television station WLS, a neighbor of Lou's family described herself as heartbroken over the news out of Germany. "I am very upset. My daughter travels overseas and stuff too. I just can't even believe what people are capable of doing anymore," said Debbie Cruel. "You really worry bad." Yeah, it's really weird to get attacked by somebody from your country in another country. Very weird behavior. Don't know how that guy got on a plane. Sorry for all the tragic things that have happened, and that's just crazy. Honestly crazy, and I'm sure I could write an entire essay on why this happened. But it's some sort of problem. Cultural problem, don't know what that was.
Just an asshole, basically. I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, just on to the next story. One asshole after another. News lately. Speaking of assholes, Russia sought to kill defector in Florida. This is from the New York Times. Writers Ronan Bergman, Adam Goldman, and Julian E. Barnes. As President Vladimir V. Putin of Russia has pursued enemies abroad, his intelligence operators now appear to be prepared to cross a line they previously avoided, trying to kill a valuable informant for the U.S. government on American soil. The clandestine operation seeking to eliminate CIA informant in Miami, who has been the high-ranking Russian intelligence official for more than a decade earlier, represented a brazen expansion of Mr. Putin's campaign of targeted assassinations. It also signaled a dangerous low point, even between intelligence services that have long had a strained history. The red lines are long gone for Putin, said Mark Polymeropoulos, a former CIA officer who oversaw the operations in Europe and Russia. He wants all these guys dead. The assassination failed, but the aftermath in part spiraled into tit-for-tat retaliation by the United States or Russia, according to three former senior American officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the aspects of a plot meant to be secret and its consequences. Sanctions and expulsions, including top intelligence official in Moscow and Washington, followed. How many times can you expel top intelligence officials? The target was Alexander Podiev, a former Russian intelligence officer, disclosed information that led to the years-long FBI investigation that in 2010 ensnared 11 spies living in their top cover in suburbs and cities along the East Coast. They assumed false names and worked ordinary jobs as part of his ambitious attempt by the SVR, Russia's foreign intelligence agency, to gather information and recruit more agents. In keeping with Obama administration effort to reset relations, a deal was reached that sought to ease tensions. 10 of the 11 spies were arrested and expelled to Russia. In exchange, Moscow released 4 Russian prisoners, including Sergei Skripal, a former colonel in the military intelligence service who was convicted in 2006 for selling secrets to Britain. The bid to assassinate Mr. Poitiev is revealed in the British edition of the book Spies, the Intelligence War Between East and West, to be published by an imprint of Little Brown in June 29th. The book is by Calder Walton, a scholar of national security intelligence at Harvard. The New York Times independently confirmed his work and is reporting for the first time on the bitter fallout from the operation, including the retaliatory measures that ensued once it came to light. According to Mr. Walton's book, a Kremlin official asserted that a hitman, or a mercader, would almost certainly hunt down Mr. Podiev, Raymond Mercader, an agent of the Socialist Stalin. Raymond Mercader, an agent of Joseph Stalin's, slipped into Leon Trotsky's study in 1940 and sank an ice pick into his head. That's what that's how an assassin got that name, I suppose. They put that right in the they put that right in the middle of a paragraph as if it was. Let's put that in there. Okay. The Russians have long used assassins to silence perceived enemies. One of the most celebrated at SVR headquarters in Moscow is Colonel Gregor Mirovsky, a biochemist who experimented with lethal poisons, according to former intelligence official. Mr. Putin, a former KGB officer, has made no secret of his deep disdain for defectors among the intelligence ranks, particularly those who hate the West. The poisoning of Mr. Skripal in the hands of Russian officers in Salisbury, Britain, in 2018 signaled escalation of Moscow's tactics and intensifies fears that it would not hesitate to do the same to American shores. All right, man, that's it for that story. Russia's trying to kill their old spies.
Spies are still running in Russia. All right.
Yeah, they're doing the James Bond stuff.
News and culture. Thousands of years old sword found in Germany and still almost shines. Archaeologists have found a bronze sword in the German state of Bavaria that is more than 3,000 years old. According to the scientists, the sword is exceptionally good condition, so that it still almost shines. Photos clearly show the details of the octagonal hilt part where the sword is held, which is, the archaeologists say, requires a complex forging technique. The sword has acquired a greenish color due to oxidation. It is rare that such swords are still found, let alone in such a condition, writes the Bavarian Heritage Preservation Agency in a press statement. The discovery was made last week after Nordlinge, a city located in the middle of the triangle between Stuttgart, Nuremberg, and Munich. That's where it is. Chief Curator Matthias Pfeffel explains on behalf of the service that the sword was found in a grave containing a man, a woman, and child. It is not yet clear what the relationship is between the three. Our archaeologists have to investigate the find further. We can say that the sword is in an exceptionally good condition. Such a find is very rare. The archaeologists estimate the sword comes from the middle of the Bronze Age, 1400 BC. The sword may have been a burial gift. Several arrowheads were also found. Similar graves in Bavaria from this time have in most cases already been looted. So they're really lucky to even find it not looted. Hey guys, I found this really old sword. Throw it in the heap pile. So, really short article there about a German sword. I just wanted to, wow, cool. Because all the other stuff in culture media are just drama stuff. So I was like, I don't want to really talk about drama in the industry. I just want to talk about this thousands of year old sword. But there's more information on it, but I can't read German. So, but it's, there's a German, the press release is in German, but I can't read it. So.
All right, this day in history in English. In 1846, Alexander Joy Cartwright arranged a baseball game between New York Knickerbockers and the New York Nine in Hoboken, New Jersey. The first baseball game to use a set of rules on which today's game is based. In 1865, with the arrival of Union soldiers in Galveston, Texas, the state's residents finally learned about the Emancipation Proclamation. The day became the annual holiday known as Juneteenth, commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. In 1867, the Emperor of Mexico, Maximilian, was executed by firing squad. In 1896, American socialite Wallace Warfield, who became the wife of Prince Edward Duke of Windsor, Edward VIII, was later abdicated. Well, anyway, she was born in 1896. All right. 1903, Lou Gehrig, one of baseball's greatest hitters, was born. In 1934, the Federal Communications Commission was organized by the United States. In 1944, during World War II, the Japanese Combined Fleet U.S. Fifth Fleet engaged in a major air-sea battle, the Battle of the Philippine Sea, which was ended with the next day with the U.S. victory. In 1961, Great Britain recognized Kuwait's independence. 1963, Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova, the first woman to travel to space, returned to Earth. In 2013, actor James Gandolfini, who famously played Tony Soprano in the HBO show, died of a heart attack while vacationing in Rome. On this day, the Cleveland Cavaliers, led by LeBron James, won the NBA title.
Hey.
And in 1953, the Rosenbergs executed for espionage. After the failure of court appeals and a worldwide campaign for mercy, husband and wife Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were put to death on this day in 1953, becoming the first Americans accused for espionage. Keep that in mind, Donald Trump. They didn't do anything as bad as you. They really didn't. He was basically giving Russian secrets to anybody and just storing them in his bathroom.
Yeah.
In a freaking stage in a banquet hall. Yeah, seriously. He's way worse. I didn't even think he's even close. And the birthdays today, Dirk Nowitzki, German basketball player. 1951, Ayman al-Zawahiri, Egyptian militant, was born. Oh, yay, I guess. I don't know. Salman Rushdie, who's healing from a knife attack, was born on this day in 1947. British writer. Aung San Suu Kyi, Myanmar opposition leader, was born this day in 1945. And Jose Rizal, Filipino political leader and author, was born on this day in 1861. Something like that. A day. It was June 19th, whatever year it was. It was June 19th. Okay. And what day is it? Okay, we got some. It is International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence. It's always a good day for that.
Yeah, let's eliminate that. That sounds like a great thing to eliminate.
And in the opposite direction, Las Vegas World Martini Day giveaway. So free martinis does not lead to sexual, at least the opposite direction. The people being drunk and being stupid. It's National Free BSD Day. Okay, I'm not. You know what BSD is?
Is it a bowel syndrome or something?
Could be if it's free. I don't want that for free. National Garfield the Cat Day.
Okay, Garfield.
It's World Sauntering Day. So when you walk today, make sure you saunter. Maybe take some sauntering lessons if you don't know how. And it's also World Martini Day, which we already covered. Why does it say that twice? I guess they just want people to drink alcohol that tastes like pine sap.
All right.
And those are today's days.
That's been Alison here from Europe, speaking about Russia as well. And you also talked about Russia. We're all talking about Russia today. I hope to see you tomorrow on Tuesday. And I'm sure Raj will be somewhere else.
I should be in Canada tomorrow, maybe in thick forest, who knows. But here's Roger from U.S. for today. On the June 19th, 2023, comprehensive news of planet Earth on Before Coffee. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons. And follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.